At Petrie's Glam Squad, we care about your hair. Let's take it back to the basic and use what works. Specializing in relaxers, wave nouveaux, sew-in and extensions, roller sets, press and curls. Located at 803 North Wilson Road in Radcliffe, Kentucky. Please give us a call at area code 270-319-4990 or 910-578-8470 and ask for Vicki.
Going on. This is the latest episode of Open Conversation with Malik. I titled this episode From the Outside Looking In. Why that name? Well, we're all guilty of that. You may ride down the street and see a homeless person begging for money, and the first thing you may say is, won't he go get a job? Or won't he stop abusing drugs and alcohol? Then on the flip side, you may see a person who looks like she has, or he or she has everything. Great house, great car, and it's quick to assume that they may have been born with a silver spoon in their mouth. That's not always the case. When you're on the outside looking in, you never know a person's story. So I'm sitting here right now with someone I've been knowing for a very long time. Since, 1992 when I first met her. She was my supervisor when I was a soldier in Korea. Now, a funny story how I came across her back in Kentucky. I'm driving down the street one day, me and my oldest son were leaving the gym. At that time, I was a head coach at North Middle School, the basketball team. So I see a kid walking. And anybody that's been around the athletics, you can see an athlete. You just see an athlete walking. So I said, hey, Khalil, who's that? He said, I don't know. So I drive over there. I said, hey, my man, what grade you in? He said, 7. I said, okay. What's your name? J. Pitrie. Now I'm trying to do my Texas accent. He was from Texas, trying to do my Texas accent. He said, J. Pitrie. So, where you going? He said he was going to North Middle to play, he played football for the football team. So I knew the head football coach at the time, a guy by the name of Greg Goodman. Rest in peace, he recently passed away. So I called Coach Goodman to ask about J. Pitrie. And he told me, man, J. Pitrie's a player. A little hard-headed, but he's a player. So I go to their first football game. So I'm sitting back where they collect money at, and a car drive up and a woman steps out. She said, where do you park and play at? Park and pay at. And I'm like, Sergeant Griffin. Right then, my old supervisor popped up. And who is J. Pitrie? That's her youngest son. Hey, it's a small world, but I'd like to introduce everybody right now. Vicki Griffin Armstrong Pitrie. How you doing?
Hello. Thank you for having me. Yes, that is exactly how it happened.
So, my show is called Open Conversation.
Okay.
So this is an opportunity for everyone to talk about themselves. I know a little about you, but I don't know a lot. And I've been knowing you for, close to 30 years now?
Ooh,
I guess it's about
that
30 years.
Yeah, about that, yes.
Well, I looked a lot better 30 years ago.
Let's see, because my daughter is 28.
Yeah.
And so she wasn't born when we were stationed together. She was born in 93.
It was just Odell.
It was just my oldest son at the time. Yeah. Yep. So it's been almost about 29. I'd say about 29 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I see with your Dallas Stars, I got to do my plug-in I'm going to do for every show. The University of Illinois football team are 6-1 right now, and we're ranked 18th in the country. We are on our way back to the top. But now, you're originally from Dallas.
I am. Dallas, Texas, from Oak Cliff.
Okay.
From Oak Cliff. A lot of people want to call it Oak Cliff, Texas, but it's Oak Cliff. Yeah.
So what's your story?
So my story is I have come a long ways. From the person that you met in Korea to this day. I've come a long ways. I like to use the verbiage, you see my glory, but you don't know my story. So a lot of times people don't understand how we get to certain places in life, or how I got to this point in life. Um, this might be a little touchy for me, but when I tell people I was in foster care, not me. No, everybody thinks I'm born with a silver spoon, or no, you don't know about the streets, or you don't know this, or you don't know that. But it's true.
So what age did you go into foster care?
Age of 5, the age of 5. And I came out at 13. I came out at 13.
Now were you in like in a big home or an individual house with foster parents or?
So it was crazy because we were taken from a drug addicted mom. So my mom was on drugs at the time, and she had 5 children. And they came in the house one day and they took us all from my mom because she had left us, abandoned us many times. She was caught passed out in the home from drugs. And so we had a relative of ours that knew of all these things, and she was like, enough is enough, let me get these kids.
You're now listening to Open Conversations with Malik, powered by 25A Networks.
The question I would ask is, you had a relative that
A relative.
the relative didn't want to take you guys in?
She did,
Oh, okay.
but she was not the person that the community or everybody thought she was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she was a very abusive person. She had no kids, so we were bonus kids to her. So she was my grandmother's sister.
Okay.
Yeah, so she was my great aunt that took us in.
But that didn't last long.
That didn't last long. No, that didn't last long. No.
So from age 5 to 13, you're in
5 to
foster
13.
care.
Yeah. And so from that point, I fought. My brothers and I fought to get back with our mom. She was stable at this time, had gotten a job and gotten herself together, gotten off of drugs, and so we fought to get back. It was a hard fight, but we fought to get back with her, and we did.
Are you the oldest, the youngest?
I am what they call. It was 6 of us, and so I'm like the middle. So they say the
Jan
middle.
Brady.
Yeah, yes. It's 4 boys and 2 girls, but I'm in the middle. So.
Okay.
Yep.
So what's it like when you finally go back? When you finally get back with your mother?
It was crazy too, because you want something for so long, or you want to be with your parent or your biological mom, and then when you get back, it's not what you think. So you get back, and this person, you've got to get to know this person all over again, because she wasn't your mom for so long, and then you go back to her and you're thinking, man, I love this lady, this lady's gonna love me, I've been looking for her, I want to be with her, and she's not that person. Yeah, and she's not that person. And so the lady that I stayed with in foster care, she would always say, you're not going to be anything, you're going to be just like your mom, you're going to have babies, you're going to, you're going to be in the streets, just everything negative. And for years I said, no, I'm not. I'm going to be better. I'm not going to be a product of my environment. That's all I kept saying. I'm not. And so I had my first kid at 15. My mom had her first kid at 13. So at 15, I felt like I was becoming my mom. I was becoming a product of my environment. And so I dropped out of school. I went to a school for pregnant girls, it was called. Our little school where all the pregnant girls, you had to leave, at that time, you had to leave regular school to go to the school for the pregnant girls. And so I ended up going there. And then I stopped going there, and I just stayed at home every day. Until one day my mom said, What are you going to do with yourself? What are you going to do with yourself? You're giving up on life? And at that point, I did. And then something clicked in me one day, and I said, no, I want to graduate. I want to graduate. If I do nothing else, I want to graduate from high school. So I went back to school after I had my son. For 2 years, I went to summer school straight to get my credits and get my grades back up. And I ended up graduating on time with my class. So that was a lot of work. It was a lot of work.
I'm not much of a Drake fan, but he has one song that I actually like, which is Started from the Bottom, Now I'm Here.
Started from the bottom.
So I met you in 1992. Is that what made you join the military?
It is. It is. So after graduation, before graduation, I went to talk to a couple of recruiters, and I passed the ASVAB. So we had the Army, the Navy, the Air Force. Everybody was like, oh, you got high scores, you got good scores. So everybody was looking to recruit me. And I was like, God, this is my opportunity. I can get away. I've got to get away. This was a sign. That's all I kept saying was, it's a sign. It's a sign. And so at that point, I signed the contract. In May, I graduated in May. I signed my contract. In 1 August of 1985, I was in the Army.
Now, my story is nowhere like yours. Mm-hmm. But I joined the military. I first decided to join the military when I was 13. Now, it was 1987, and I'm actually watching the Indiana-Syracuse National Championship game. So in my mind, I said I was going to go play basketball for Bob Knight at IU, graduate college, then come in as a second lieutenant. I was nowhere near talented enough to play basketball IU, UI, VU, anywhere.
No?
No, not at all.
Okay. Could have been me.
No, not at all. So, but that's when I made the decision, because I just didn't want to stay in my environment. You know, I had an older brother that I looked up to, but I didn't want to be him. So I thought my only way out was going to be the military. So now you stayed in the military how many years?
22. I did.
22 years.
Yep. So Fort McClellan, Alabama was my first duty station. And I was there 18 months, and I was like, golly, I'm on assignment already? And I left Fort McClellan and went to Korea.
Oh, okay.
And I believe that's where we met.
Yeah, it was.
That's where we met.
Now to let the people know, now her first husband was my guy. That was my guy when we was in Korea.
They were troublemakers.
We was my ace boom.
They were troublemakers.
Hey, are you a creative personality or a sports analyst who wants to record your own podcast for the world to hear? Well, let me tell you, Buzzsprout is the route you want to take. What they do is amazing, and I hate for you to miss out. You'll get a great-looking podcast website, audio players that you can drop into other websites, detailed analytics on how people are listening, and tools to promote your episodes. Buzzsprout gets your show listed in every major podcast platform, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. If you sign up for a paid plan, you'll receive a $20 Amazon gift card, which helps our show. So hey, what are you waiting for? Come on over and join 100,000 other podcasters who are already using Buzzsprout to get their message out to the world. Peace.